Good morning, colleagues. It's a big pleasure to open on behalf of the Commission the first panel of the day. We have here 5 very experienced panelists covering all, if not more than that, aspects and components of the AI factories. For myself, being one of the first generations of the EuroHPC GU, I mean, I was lucky enough to be a part of the drivers that set up the joint undertaking. It's a real pleasure to see that in the 7 years since the existence almost of the joint undertaking, we have come so far, and the creativity of what we can do even more with the joint undertaking EuroHPC is impressive. The panel today is focusing on the competitiveness contribution of the AI factories. The idea here is to demystify the AI factories, not so much the concept itself, but what is the mission, what are the drivers, what is the impact we're looking for? How can you, as users, as providers, how can you take advantage or participate to the AI factories later on? I will give a short scene setter, and then I've asked each of the panelists to come with a prepared question. We will go then into an interactive discussion with the panel, and I would like to use the last half hour of this session to give you, as the audience, opportunity to ask questions to the panel. Now, if we wind back to 2018, when the idea of launching joint undertaking was materializing, when we just launched the initiative, we had many criticisms around the world saying Europe will never get its act together. It's a lost case. You better come and to our place or buy our systems. It will be much easier. And within 2 years, we've proven the world that if there's a will, we can have a tremendous success. And here, indeed, we have a double success we achieved with EuroHPC. We addressed the massive shortcoming that we had in the Union on access to world-class supercomputing resources, competences, but also it was a really convincing example of a true European project, of true European integration, where we now have 27 member states, plus almost a dozen associate countries that are actively involved and contributing to this success model, which in the beginning, in quotes, was just simply providing computing resources, providing competences, providing some technology development, providing support to the users for scientific applications. And then a year ago or so, you might say, okay, we just went with the tide of the time, adding other computing architectures like the quantum computers, which again is a truly unique feature that you will find no one else in the world. You have no idea how many of our counterparts outside the European Union are envying Europe for this superb public infrastructure that we have set up to provide scientists, industrials, but also public sector with access to world-class computing facilities and all the ecosystem that goes around it. Be it classical HPC, be it quantum. Now, with the wake-up call 2 years ago about the huge potential that AI will bring, you might ask, okay, is AI just one other evolution of the technology? Well, it is more than just adding another layer of technology in order to be ahead of the time and being competitive. The wake-up call, the real driver of our political lords and masters when this massive breakthrough of these large AI models came through was looking at what do we have in Europe, what can we do in Europe to be also at the forefront of the AI in the world and not losing the competitive advantage that we have. And that's where the AI factories idea was born. And it is only possible because we have this functioning network, with this functioning organization around EuroHPC that has proven its value and is continuing. Now, the AI factories is more than just adding capabilities towards AI. It is certainly building on what we have, but it's creating a much wider ecosystem, a much wider set of skills, support services towards the developers of the codes from whatever level they're coming, just needing some small experimental facility to the ones that would like to develop the largest model, providing our startups with the massive computing resources they need to train the large models because they cannot afford their own computing infrastructure, or they could not rent this large infrastructure that notably the American competitors are doing. The core idea, and that's what will be the main subject of the discussion today, is how we can use the AI factories beyond providing tools, resources, competences for state-of-the-art technology, but how this will become and will be used as a tool to maintain and drive the competitiveness of the Union as a whole, of the countries by themselves, but also helping you, be it the developers of the codes, be it the users of the AI, but also for the scientists. So with this, I would like now to introduce my panel, starting with Krzysztof Kurowski. He's the head of the quantum technologies at the Poznan Supercomputing Networking Center. He has a PhD in engineering, computer science. He has been the director of the Supercomputing Center for 6-7 years now, I believe, yes. Has been active, very active worldwide also as a scientist, is heavily involved in integration of the supercomputing infrastructure, now enhancing it with quantum, but he's also served at the Open Science Cloud, EOSC, as the national representative. So here we have already coverage of quite a number of competencies or elements of the AI factories. So, Krzysztof, to you. In your view, what role do you see for the AI factories play in promoting European competitiveness in general and for the AI in particular?
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm a new kid in the block. First of all, I would like to thank EuroHPC for selecting PSSC as a hosting entity for the AI factory. It was a long journey, but we made it, and I would like to take this opportunity also to thank all the colleagues participating in this long journey, and also the national funding agency, the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Digital Affairs, and Ministry of Science and Higher Education. Now, in our opinion and based on our experiences, what we have available, there are many components that, thanks to AI factory project, we can bring together. So we have established already a lot of ingredients that we can take as an input to facilitate the AI factory, and not only concentrate on a hardware, but also on a software stack, and also on the services and different communities that we have been working with, including digital innovation hubs, industry clusters, and also many interesting experimental and testing facilities. So all those things together, and also additional communities from our region, from our city, can be taken as an input to create a synergy and provide an impact to all the prestigious AI factories that have been already selected and set up in different European countries. So in my opinion, we can really take advantage and not start from scratch, but take advantage of what we have already achieved. So we are not building from scratch the momentum, but there are many interesting pieces that we can use to have a real impact, again, not only on the hardware or software side, but through the engagement of new communities, working with many academia partners. I also coming from the city in which there are many students, altogether I think around 80,000 young students can potentially be somehow involved in our activities. So I'm really glad and I'm happy that PSNC was selected as a place to start again, not doing things from scratch, but continue our long journey that we started long time ago.
Thank you, Krzysztof. Now let's move to Ms. Mariona Sanz. She's the head of the Innovation and Business Development at the Barcelona Supercomputing Center. She has a long experience in innovation programs for industry. She was the Director General of the European Funds at the Generalitat de Catalunya. She has a degree in economics, and she served at various other posts at the ministerial and local government level at the Agency for Competitiveness, or director as the innovation unit, and managing the industrial R&D programs. Now, Ms. Sanz, in your view, how will the AI factories contribute to the national innovation strategies, as well as contributing to the innovation roadmaps of the industry?
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us here. I'm really proud to be part of this big challenge together at BSc, but also with our consortium of Turkey, Portugal, and Romania. We are building the AI factory, BSc AI factory. So innovation, there are mostly two ways of innovate. One is creating new products, new services, and the other way is to create new processes to become more competitive and to increase business margin. Technology is one important asset for that. It's a key aspect. There are other things, of course, talent is also important, but technology is very important in order to build an innovation strategy, and artificial intelligence, of course, is the key technology that all the European industry and actors are applying or want to apply. So we have to build our own innovation strategy, and AI factories is one of a specific, very important tool to build this strategy. From my point of view, there are different aspects that this strategy should include. The first one, it has to be open. Open means open models, to build strong models with a strong AI community. Open data, using data for training, for inference, for specific sectors. This data has to be open and accessible, and make it accessible through AI factories. Second thing, we have to be open to new actors appearing, because they have come to disrupt, to offer new opportunities and new solutions, and we have to support them in terms of being flexible with our mechanisms, but also to support them because they will become our technology providers in the future. So we need to have specific mechanisms to make them grow using our services and our capacities. And third aspect is we have to produce very tailor-made solutions. Now it's the time so we have spent a lot of effort in research. So we have a lot of research capacity in terms of building big models. Now it's time to apply these models, to innovate and to go and foster, to cover specific industry needs and specific sector needs. Also, for example, in health or climate, for banking, for finance, sectors that need specific needs, and also administration to cover to build new public services using AI. And finally, I think that our strategy should be also legal, in terms that is compatible with legal, which we have to build transparent artificial intelligence, and also avoid bias and AI compliant. This is not a synonymous of bureaucracy. We have to skip bureaucracy, but we have to be legal, and I think that there is a big opportunity for Europe in this area as well.
Thank you. Now let's move to our next speaker, Mr. Thomas Hahn. He's a fellow at Siemens, where he was appointed chief expert software for Siemens software. He is the head of the development team for the industrial automation systems. Now, you have been around quite a lot in different areas. You have been overseeing the Open Lab in CERN. You're in the Bavarian KI-Rat. You're also representing the Big Data Association as one of the private members of the EuroHPC joint undertaking. And that's why the evident question to you is on the access to data, which is one of the three key elements we need to succeed with the AI factories: computing resources, talents, and data. So if you could enlighten us on how we can make sure to get access to this large corporate of data that we need to run the AI trainings.
Okay, thanks Gustav to inviting me to this panel. Very proud to be here. Yes, I'm representing today a little bit more the industry view, or to make precise, I will not speak about health. I will speak a little bit in my examples for manufacturing industry, because it's my background, and I like always to speak about where I have knowledge about. But when you are looking for what is in industry ongoing, what is the actual status? You know, AI is on the spot. Let's phrase it in this way. On the spot, sorry. AI is on the spot for industry. You know, we are looking at the next step to have with Gen AI, you know, AI models. And now you can, when you're thinking about the speech from the commissioner at the beginning, you are speaking about AI models, you are speaking about data, you are speaking about infrastructure, you are speaking about knowledge, people, talents, you know. This is driving us, and therefore, you know, we are really targeting this issue. So, and the good thing is, because you asked me how to get access to the data or interest in working in AI factories, however we manage access to the data. The good thing is that at the moment, I can tell you, every second or third day, a company is calling me and asking me, look, how we can set it up, how we can do this, how we can calculate the AI models, how we can do this in a safe, secure, trusted way, as all the topics which are addressed also from the AI factory. So that's a good thing, what we really, you're feeling some kind of momentum. So, you know, and you know, what we want to doing is of course great impact, great business impact. And only when I have to coming from industry, I have to say at least 2-3 examples to make it a little bit more touchable. When you're looking on a shop floor where you have a robotic system, where you have a pick and place topic, where we have to pre-sort maybe goods which we are producing, then when you have a pick and place systems which are running AI, is intelligent, and now you can imagine you have a big AI model in the background, then you save money. Then you save time. So this is one issue in what is driving us, and that's why we are really, we have some kind of momentum. Second issue is also when you're looking, as said before, apologies, for example, from the manufacturing industry, when you speak engineering, commissioning, or operating, and a system, plant or a machine or what else, you can immediately imagine when you use the data, you calculate the data, you have some kind of trained models from different suppliers, because in a plant you have a lot of different suppliers inside, you have some advantage and can offer new business opportunities. So in a nutshell, AI is on the spot, and there's a really significant momentum behind this. And as said before, the models, the AI models becoming better when you have from different domains some kind of data to train the model, which we then use for a commissioning or a robotics application, like I mentioned before. For sure, let's say data are sensitive good. You know, with data is depending, and it's not in contradicting what you said regarding the open data approach, but there's a lot of data which have a sensitive good, where we have to carefully handling this, not to disclose our IPs or how machine or the factory is working, because then we're losing on the one side a competitive advantage and maybe gaining a new one. So let's say that's but it's not a contradiction, we have only to handle this. When you speak about data, the good thing is, besides the momentum, also a lot of data ecosystems initiatives are running or coming up. You know, you have from aerospace, you have from manufacturing, robotics I mentioned before, health, mobility. So there's a real big crowd of data, let's face it, owners who are building together a data ecosystem. By the way, this would be immediately the source to make together on an AI factory some kind of joint exercise. And now when we are going over to the AI factories, you know, what we from industry is interesting in it. We have really to look about, we have to have a secure and safe environment. We have to include different, think about my cross-domain aspect, different companies, data owners, research institute in doing this together. So AI factories are building really an environment where we can look and calculate and compute together. So, and you know, I remember the time you have, Gustav, a little bit reflected the history of the HPC and the AI factories. And I personally remember when you and Thomas Kordas, it was January 10th or 12th, don't ask me the precise date, last year, you announced the topic of the AI factories. You know, this was an informal governing board meeting where we put it on the spot and explained what is the idea behind this. And he asked me about, what do you think about this? And I said, very good idea. Let's do it. And let's do it is really my motto, which I want to say. We have simple to start, and looking to Dennis, you know, first contact we have established to set it up.
Thank you, Thomas. Now let's move to our next speaker, Mateusz. He's the CEO and vice president of VivaDrive, a startup that he created himself. So we now have at the big industry, now we have the SME side. You are developing AI-powered platforms for mobility solution, and including for the electric vehicles. You also understand coaching and mentoring other users, other companies on embracing the transformation capability of AI. Now, from your experience, if you could briefly outline what it takes to develop and deploy AI-powered solutions, taking, of course, your predilect examples in transportation and logistics.
Does it work? Yeah. Hi. So good morning, everyone. Thanks for inviting me. It's a great pleasure to be here and share my experience. I'm a bit outside, let's say, this world of HPC, not running any supercomputer center. I'm representing a startup, a scale-up right now, and yeah, I would say it's a real vibe now in the, let's say, technology scene related to Gen AI and AI. So I'm representing, as you said, a technological startup that is working in the transportation and mobility. And we have a pleasure to work with the larger and smaller companies, helping them, let's say, work on the operational excellency, but also on sustainability. We are helping them to go into, let's say, zero-emission transportation, helping them to introduce zero-emission electric cars, multimodal solutions. It's a challenging task, but yeah, I see. Because you ask about what it needs to be, what we need to have in order to introduce an AI in the corporate or in the SME. It's all already have been mentioned, right? The data, the infrastructure, people, ecosystem, support from the government, also from the different stakeholders. And maybe I will talk about some examples as you ask. We're trying to use AI internally, so I would call it, you start with some butter passing activities, things that people don't want to do, or you do it a lot of times, so you basically talk about things like marketing automation, sales automation, customer support. All these things are, I have to say, pretty straightforward nowadays, right? When we were doing that, I don't know, 5-10 years ago, it took a lot of time. Now with all these tools provided by the US companies, also by the European companies, it's much faster, and I see that we are able to do it 3-4 times faster than before, thanks to these facilities that we are provided. The question is whether the European companies can catch up with what is offered by European, US, or even Chinese counterparties. And if you think, the last year, I have to say, we work with the companies that scaling up in transportation, and very often they see it's a great opportunity. They've seen it as a great challenge because there's lack of resources in terms of people and money, and they see AI or Gen AI as a great opportunity to move on. So I would give an example of one company that's scaling up around 2-3 times a year. They sell frozen food in the area of Warsaw. And they say there's a great problem with getting the right people to scale up those activities. They can buy cars, maybe hire new drivers, but in terms of operational aspect, it's very difficult. So they for instance, use the AI solution to better manage the warehouse, route optimization, all this administrative, this butter passing activities, and employ it internally. And yeah, there's not a single company. There are many logistics, expedition companies that go into that area. And what they are missing is basically the knowledge, the experience. So that's why we also need, like you Krzysztof mentioned, the students, people who are knowledgeable how to use it, that they go into those companies. They also, because if you think about the logistic company or transportation, it's not the first choice for a student, right? It might be something boring, you just plan the routes for the cars. And in fact, you might not not agree, but the more we work with them, we see that this can be even very sexy workplace, because there is not only the drivers, but you have all kinds of technology being employed, and this support in terms of education, I think it's extremely important. If we talk about the data, we work, for instance, with one large German manufacturer to help them find the best spots for the charging hubs, right? It used to be done manually, right? People were looking around Europe where to spot was the best place to put the chargers. We built a system using LLMs and, let's say, digital twin using the open data, in fact, from the OpenStreetMap related to the roads, to energy, to other infrastructural aspects, and we can basically do it automatically without, people are still there to do the assessment, but they don't do this, let's say, manual work. They can focus on improving the whole process, but it wouldn't be possible without access to data, right? But there is also an aspect that is related to security, right? Because we work with the data that is related to the energy infrastructure, and it's a question. For us, it's important. We have to know where the transformers are, where the power lines, but at the same time, it can be used, in hybrid wars and so on. So it's also a question how this data and where it's shared with whom and so on. So it's not so easy. That's why we have the regulations, and sometimes it can be very, let's say, challenging in Europe, because we also happen to work with the financial institution, and the projects that we're doing with AI, most of the time, 50 to 60%, it's not about the core of the project, but making sure that everything is safe, secure, that we don't pass this data wrongly, and so on. And for a small company like us, it's a challenge, right? So it's a question, how can we make this innovation environment possible for smaller companies as well? Because if you look at the companies in the US, in Silicon Valley, or in Europe, regulations is important, but at the other hand, there should be a space for R&D, for trying stuff. If you look at, I was checking before the panel, how much time it takes for the deep tech company to mature and become a large company. In the US, it's 11 years. In EU, it's 20 years, and it's much less convergence, transformation into these large companies. And there are different aspects of that. And I think in Europe, we have a large expectation towards HPC, and we discussed it before the panel. It won't solve all the problems, but they can be really, let's say, starting points of this AI innovation ecosystem. And we can, I think, also learn from what we see in the US, which is very, let's say, profit-driven, supported by the venture capital funds, also larger corporations. And on the other hand, the Chinese, when there is, let's say, state-owned, state-driven, I don't know the answer, what would be the best, but I strongly believe that, yeah, we can learn from these two approaches and put it together. And given that we have a very strong R&D experience in Europe, and we put a lot of effort in sustainability, ethics, that can be our, let's say, unique selling points of the whole AI ecosystem. And yeah, so I hope to also hear from you what's your view on that, but I'm pretty sure you will be covering these aspects.
Thank you. Now let's move to our last but not the least panelist, Dennis Hoppe. He's the department head of converged computing at the High Performance Computing Center in Stuttgart. He has a master's degree in computer science, and he's now heading the strategic developments of artificial intelligence, data analytics, and quantum computing. He's also active as a researcher and focusing on the integration of AI in supercomputing. Now, in your view, how would the AI factories make the difference?
Yeah, also thank you for having me here today. I'm very pleased to be also in this panel. So when we talk about how AI factories can excel and add European value, I think most of you will think about investing into infrastructure, into compute, network, and storage. But if we took a step back, we also need to remember that AI factories are not just an infrastructure project, so there are also services behind. And I think we need now a paradigm shift going away from the system-centric view of supercomputing more to a user-centric view for the AI factories, and putting now the user at the center. So whether it's a scientist, a startup, an SME, or a large industrial player, I think it will be key to have tailored solutions for these users. And maybe we can also discuss this today in the panel. We have here two potential users who have, I think, a lot of requirements for us as an AI factory. And so I think we have then some specific ingredients for this user-centric view. And I think one of the most important ones for the AI factories or for the European ecosystem is locality, that we include this regional factor to approach our users. So in Stuttgart, we have a long history also with industry usage. We have currently more than 70 industry users on our system. There are some large sports car manufacturers behind that as well. And so you cannot win them over from one day to the other. It needs to be, you have to build trust with them. And so this locality factor is just something which needs to be built over time. So you have these unique selling points like they get to know the people who are running the system. You have direct connection and communications with them. You can just call and visit the center and touch the system. So it's just something which a cloud provider cannot provide for these users, and this is very important for them. And also having Siemens here, I could imagine that the sensitive data cannot go out of Europe, so it needs to be, sometimes even have to stay in Germany. So this is another regional aspect where the AI factories can excel. Still, we should not see these regional AI factories as some isolated silos, because we are investing not in some very few massive AI clusters, but in multiple federated AI factories. And so we have this federation of sharing data, models, and also knowledge, which was already mentioned several times today. And this gives us much more opportunities. So I could think of maybe a use case where several hospitals from different countries want to work together, Germany, France, and Poland. But each of those have very specific requirements when it comes to data sharing. So they cannot share basically the data. So in each country, they could train an AI model at the AI factory and then use some aggregated AI insights to have some joint advantage there. So this is just an example where I can think of where this federation of AI factories is really a unique selling point for us. And another aspect is then direct user support. I think it's very important to also then yeah, just accompany these users from the first discussions to the end until they have something in production, that there's always a direct person to talk to, like a concierge, which we also try to implement in the Hammer High AI Factory, so that always somebody who can talk to, who can also say, okay, we see you have this and that problem, maybe you take this and that training course to have some upskilling for your professionals as well, and we will also help you with scaling up your codes until you can then have your trained model in the inference for production as well. And so these are just a very few aspects to start the discussion today. And in the end, yeah, AI should make our lives easier and not more difficult.
Thank you. Now let me go into your answers and go deeper and open the question to the whole panel by asking if you could tell us where do you see the distinct features of doing the AI factories? I mean, this is a very specific way of doing an AI. So what are, in your opinion, the assets that we bring with the AI factories? What is the distinctive features that will bring us a competitive advantage through the AI factories?
Maybe I start because you mentioned exactly the name of my my company. In a nutshell, with AI factories, you providing an environment where you know where your data are calculated, stored, and like I mentioned before, a lot of data are sensitive. And especially when you know coming from the Stuttgart environment, you know also the environment around you with the machine tool building. This is the first issue. Also, like I said before, second issue is the services to access, and I'm speaking from industry, the AI factories. I think you mentioned this AI services or whatever the term is behind this. And in this case, I'm not speaking about an Siemens, where we have maybe people to train them. I'm speaking more about small and medium-sized enterprises. I'm maybe also not speaking about startups which are grown up in this technology. So it's also easier for them. But for the small and medium-sized enterprise to get an easy access is really a prerequisite, because they have not the people which are trained. They have a problem to be solved. And the third issue is, this is also depending a little bit related to the first one, regarding the security and where the data, to have trust where the data are calculated in safe environment and discussed before. I mentioned before, models are good when they are trained across different verticals and also across different data owners. And you can imagine that the data owners like or don't like maybe to calculate, besides the fact we have not this kind of HPC center at Siemens center. To have a neutral center, this is also advantage, because you know you can put a competitor A, a competitor B, with Siemens, with the supplier C, with the supplier D together, and we have trust. I think this is for me, when you ask me top 3 topics, secure environment, services, especially for small and medium-sized enterprises, and offering also the opportunity across different data providers to have an environment where we trust and we calculate and we will really put your data inside.
Yes. No, I was thinking about what you already talked about, neutrality. So AI Factory's purpose is to support the industry R&D and the innovation. No? And we are building a system that we are going to process only innovation projects, and we are different from a commercial data center or the commercial service of hyperscalers, etc. No? So we are building I think that we can excel in terms that we already have experience in supporting research. So let's build a strong bridge to companies, taking into account our experience in research and bringing this to industry and to startups in order to they innovate using this technology. No? So we have teams dedicated to build artificial intelligence models. They can support the startups, the SMEs and industry on how to apply these models in order to develop specific solutions, applications to scale into the market. So I think that this is the difference of a commercial service that you will find in the market, whereas AI Factory should be more focused on innovation and building this innovation, taking into account all the research experience that we have already.
So, if I can add, I completely agree that taking the more user-centric approach and also taking the advantage of local communities and also taking into account the fact that AI factories will be spread out around Europe and will be federated through different federation mechanisms. I think there's a unique opportunity that we can not only share physical resources, but we can share AI models, we can share best practices, we can share proof of concepts among many communities, and we can actually take advantage that at the local level we may have some stars and shining stars that can actually inspire other communities in different regions. So this unique construction of having not only powerful AI-oriented supercomputers, but also services, platforms, and communities, this is a really big advantage. And I think at this scale, for the first time, we have a big chance to take advantage of it.
Thank you.
I would just add something, because for me, this the AI factories, it's a good step into this technological sovereignty, right? We should have our vertical and horizontal models in Europe. We shouldn't rely only on the things that are provided across the pond, for instance, but have something that we fully control. And I strongly believe that, that the high computing power can give us this opportunity. So the support for companies like Mistral or Polish, Plum, Bielik, other companies, I mean, we should support and make sure that we can do it and we can keep it inside and be totally independent from the other countries. Another point which was mentioned, I think this, we're running a lot of sensitive data as well, and a place where we could share it, hospitals, medical data, infrastructural data, and build models that are specifically for this horizontal or vertical use cases. I think it's also important, because there is no such other environment. I mean, there are some commercial environments, but it's difficult to deploy, or dual case solutions. So this could also play a vital role in building solutions for this, let's say, strategic aspects of European community. And as you mentioned, also the SMEs, so services for smaller companies where they can use the infrastructure, they can learn to innovate. And it's not only about the models, not only about the infrastructure itself, but also about the use cases, people that support that. So I see it that if it's federal, if it's connected, that can be a very nice community that supports innovation in Europe. I just hope that we don't end up just with our R&D. I happen to use FIWare. It used to be everyone wanted to have a European Amazon. It didn't work out. There was a lot of use cases. Maybe not too much money spent, 300 million euros on that. It's a nice concept, but it didn't work out. So really, keeping my fingers crossed for factories that we go a few steps further and build really strong this innovation and AI ecosystem around it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's very important that we lower the barriers for access. So I could imagine that many SMEs and industries have already an existing solution for AI in the cloud. It may be limited because you cannot use all your sensitive data there, but at least parts of that. And of course, the AI factories are becoming now very attractive because we are aligning with the European laws and we can provide this trusted environment that was already mentioned several times. But I can also understand that you don't want to put additional effort now in migrating your existing solutions to the AI factory. And this is then where we need to do some work to also offer you the software stack and migration functionalities that you can easily move your existing solutions to the AI factories as well. And this is something in addition to this user-centric view that we also put a focus on the software.
Thank you for your insights. Now we are here all convinced about the effectiveness and the excellence of the AI factories concept. Now I would like to understand from you, how can we encourage or ensure that the users actually will come to the AI factories, that they see that they will gain a competitive advantage by using the AI factories, not only as a contributor to the competitiveness of the economy, but also for their own business case. So how can we ensure that they decide to use AI factories either for developing the models or for using existing models and adapting them to their realities? How can we make sure that they come to their factories rather than going somewhere else? So maybe start with you, Mateusz.
That's a difficult question, because I've never been building this kind of AI factories, and yeah, it's, if you hear it, you think about infrastructure, right? Maybe models and so on, but we definitely need much more. If you look at the Silicon Valley approach, I'll get back to that, maybe it's not the best one, but there's high concentration of different resources that makes this an important hub for innovation and for AI. You have the venture capital, so the money, you have highly skilled engineers, you have the companies, larger companies willing to take the risk. There's also less risk aversion than in Europe, so in concentration it makes it a nice place to develop your idea. In Europe we have other assets, of course, but here we should also try to, I would definitely try to build this high concentration of elements. So definitely the computing power is important, but if we work together, I mean, as I said before, having this combined projects, but easily accessible, not only for the, let's say, R&D centers, but also for the commercial users, that we are not, going through, a long process where you have to write 400, 500 pages of proposal to get in, but something quicker. I mean, in Poland we have some, I'm not talking about the HPC only, but in just use cases. In Poland we have some good examples of the scale-up programs for startups where you can get small amount of money to run a pilot with the corporate, and there is not much let's say bureaucracy behind that, and a lot of companies are attracted to use it. You see also EIC initiatives with the New Horizon Europe that are easier to apply. So definitely, I mean, people, if you ask entrepreneurs, okay, shall I use, I don't know, private money or public money? Most of them say, let's go for private. It's much easier. There is less, let's say, rigidness. You can spend it the way you want. And if you talk about the profit-driven organization, so we should build it in a way that you can attract people to work with those entities, with AI factories. And if you bring inside the experienced entrepreneurs that already know how to work with EV, some scale-ups, I don't know, I would mention, I mentioned Mistral, there's 11 labs from Poland, people that know how to scale it up, know how to build these models, that there is also a lot of knowledge that people can take from and profit. So, I mean, you could probably build a whole list. I don't know what will be this defining factor that it's successful, but definitely, I see that it's also, we talked that we are being pushed a lot, and the European Commission wants you to deliver fast and a lot. I mean, it's, I think now we have to move fast, right? So we should understand that if we are not, I don't know whether it's not too late to being very strong in AI. Maybe quantum is the next thing we can be best in the world, but definitely it's the time to move on, to scale up, to bring new ideas, to innovate, take risk, and not be afraid. Because if you think about the public support, many people see it like it's a risk-taking, right? It's you're gonna go through all this bureaucratic aspect, paperwork, and at the end, it's just for the sake of doing something fundamental, but not necessarily scaling up and making a big profit. So we should try to get away from this, the challenges that I mentioned.
Before I give the floor to the other panelists, I'd just like to underscore three of the elements you mentioned. One is the ecosystem approach, which is really inherent to the whole concept of the AI factories, providing the compute infrastructure, providing access to data, providing all the talents, the support services, making singular places where you would have connectivity with the research community, with the investors, be it public and private, with the developers. So this is one of the key aspects that is monitored in the application that we see for the AI factories. The other point that you highlighted is indeed the need for speed. So we are about, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, with the EuroHPC governing board, going to adopt a revised access policy where to request access to their factories, you should get the decision within days rather than weeks, or writing hundreds and hundreds of pages to really simplify and accelerate the process. And the last word I would like to underscore what you said is we want to move fast, and that's why within 1 year after adopting the whole AI factories legal framework, we are already there to hopefully give access as of April to the first users to the AI factories we're establishing. Now, please, the others. Don't fight.
Okay, everybody. No. Sorry for this. I'm not afraid that we, with AI, we have to be fast. No discussions about this, but are not to be afraid that we are out of the game. By far not, because we should know that we had a lot of competence in different verticals where we can build on. And first sentence. Second issue, you mentioned also the model from the Silicon Valley. When you're looking at the AI factories, you know, AI factories will have be also some kind of focus area. Manufacturing, health, maybe you have to know it, which AI factory has a focus, but you have some kind of hotspots where you can address. Let's say that is a model. And when you're thinking also about Silicon Valley on the west coast, when you're looking of the middle of the US and then to the east, maybe there's also some kind of distribution of experts. But let's say our model regarding to have some kind of topics is good. And third topic, I mentioned this at the beginning, to coming up on speed and to make it really business oriented. I think you mentioned also the use cases. I mentioned that tons of data space projects are running with hundreds of use cases. And don't ask me how many companies are involved inside. And this, I said, this we have really to connect. And I promised Dennis, he told me before he will be ready 1st of April. I'm knocking on the 2nd of April on his door. Sorry.
Yeah, so I will be there. I want to see these 500 pages of proposal. Yeah, I'm very interested in that. You asked about how we can increase the uptake of users for these systems, and I think this needs to be done through success stories. So we need to push the users in this regard to some extent, but I could see that if a competitor sees what another company is doing, then they want to do the same. We had this in 2019 when we had our first GPU-based system. Everyone wanted to do deep learning, although they didn't know what to do actually, or did not have any data. But another company was doing that, and they had also to do it. And so we have a lot of European projects and initiatives already producing these success stories, and also reaching out to these stakeholders on a regional level, like these national competence centers we have set up in every member state. And we need to leverage this network to reach out to these users and just start now in April with the first pilot users to build up this catalog of success stories.
Mm-hmm. That's very interesting. So in our case, when we were building all the AI factory concept, we were thinking on building a very strong ecosystem around us. So we'll have different levels of users, users with low readiness. Sorry, so users with low readiness in front of AI, and users with strong and high readiness level. No? So, but the ecosystem has to bring us the different instruments, addressing different kind of needs that our users will have. No? So we have built different instruments to increase the demand of our services, and there are different axes. One is at the territorial level, so we want to spread AI services all over the territory. We are using the support of the EuroHPC national networks for that. So we'll have teams dedicated in different nodes in Spain, in Portugal, etc., to assess companies, SMEs that want to understand how do they have to apply the AI services. So second, it's at the sectorial level. We are going to build sectorial hubs in order to collect specific needs from the sectors and they can scale up together common solutions because they have also common needs. Imagine that hospitals they join efforts for a common model for facilitate diagnosis, or for example in public services they use LLMs to increase the citizens' attention. No? So there are a lot of use cases and a lot of common needs that could be addressed commonly through this sectorial approach. No? And the third level, it is also the startups. No, they have to be our future champions, no? Our tech providers in the future. So we have to address all the services for them and looking where they are. No, we have to go to the specific fairs where they are. We have to increase the demand of this kind of companies that of course they would be very important for the future of AI in Europe. No? Also, we have identified the training activities as very, very important in different levels for the academics or for the researchers, but also for the students to attract talent, and also for the companies. And in companies there are also different levels of training for managers, for engineers, for SMEs in general. So very tailor-made training activities in order to increase this user engagement and to facilitate the use of our services. And of course, this together with a lot of engagement, a lot of networking and dissemination activities.
Thank
you. Maybe just a short comment. In addition to the common services like training activities, what I think is really important, and all the AI factories have been explicitly asked to pre-select or concentrate on some specific domain-specific sectors. So I think we also have to learn the language they speak. I mean, and really fully understand the requirements, because we may have completely different services, and also support mechanisms for different industry sectors. We also have to learn how to train young, talented people. So there are many different additional challenges that we may observe. It's a process. It's a dynamic process, but we're just starting. So let's see what will happen.
Thank you. Now I would like to give the audience opportunity to ask a question towards our panel. So we have some colleagues in the room with microphones. So if you ask your question, I would kindly ask you to identify yourself and indicate if there's a particular person in the panel you would like to respond to the question, or if it's a general question to the whole panel. So who would like to ask the first question?
Hello, thank you for the discussion. Klaus Johansen, my name, come from Norway, a research company. I have more a comment, and this is turning into a question. And it's about the AI factories as innovation accelerators. So I do believe the concept is very sound and doable, not easy to do, but doable, in a sense that you have infrastructure, you have IT, you have specialized technical stuff, you have AI stuff which can help small and medium-sized or even bigger companies to come and help. I think the major bottleneck in all that, provided you have established that, is probably the data, because data is something, the human minds are rather volatile, so they can adapt very easy if they are adjusted already to different areas of application and come up with quite good solutions in principle to go ahead and seek for advantages in a certain direction. But if it comes to the data, it must be very specific, and this incorporation of data into the AI factory, let it be that the AI factories have the data already, which is kind of unthinkable, or you're getting it on demand in, or it is brought by customers in, is going to be, I believe, from my opinion, the biggest bottleneck. And that should be probably getting a focus, my thought. Maybe a comment from you.
So in our case, no, I totally agree. That is a key part of our service that we are going to provide. And what we did in order to prepare the proposal and to start running with all the AI factory was to identify the data that we already had as institutions. So at BSC, we had already public data. Our project partners also had identified data, and this is what we have to do is to concentrate this data to have a clear system for making it accessible and make it grow. I mean, at the end, the data that we have now, we have to build a system that, in order to grow and grow our data space, accessing to third-party data, having specific protocols for accessing to this data, and also, I would say, stimulating our users also to bring data to our repository to make it accessible for others. No? And this is one of the key parts of our service, and it's a challenge right now. I would say that it's a big challenge for us.
Yeah,
Thomas first.
Yeah, maybe 2-3 comments, and hopefully covering your question. First of all, you're right. The data are also, beside all the sensitive aspects which I touched before, which we have somehow to handle, are somehow also distributed. You know, you have sometimes the data close to the shop floor when it have to be very fast to get the data, or you have in a higher level in a cloud solution when you are optimizing across different factories or something else, or different systems you can imagine. Also in this case you're right, but I think we have really some advantage because this is somehow sorted out a little bit in this data. I not use the name data space, but data ecosystem initiative for different verticals. Also for manufacturing, we are really thinking about how we can get a data economy, which covering also the aspects how you can address the data from the interface level, but also how to describe more from semantic or ontology level. The data this is somehow covered in a vertical approach in the project. And to bring this in combination, for sure, there are thousands of questions which we have to solve. That's no agreement, but what I want to say is there is some kind of data ecosystem in different verticals coming, running, or starting, where hopefully a lot of the questions which are coming like to describe the data and the access to the data is somehow covered. But you are right, now we have to fill it into the AI factories to get value, the models and so on out. Hopefully it's covering roughly the question, but we can also have a deep dive sessions later and a deep dive discussions later in the breakout.
Yeah, I can add a few things here. We already identified this issue of data amongst the AI factories, so we started some working groups also on these different verticals. to establish these data facilities at each AI factory. But I agree there's still the issue of bringing the data, I don't know, from an SME then to the AI factory. And the AI factories themselves, they are very well connected also through GEON network and so on. But again, the SME might not have such a high gigabit connection. So there's still a bottleneck when it comes to the initial data transfer. And of course, we need to somehow avoid that somebody puts a few hard disks into a car and drives to us, yeah, like it happened a few decades ago. Maybe this is still a faster solution in some cases. I don't know what kind of internet connections you have, and if you see there's some bottleneck. Maybe you can comment on that as well.
Yeah, regarding the connectivity, you know, we have also the important project for common European interest, the Cloud Infrastructure Service Project, where I was thinking, I'm sorry for this, where I was thinking really about a cloud edge continuum to get this connectivity hopefully somehow solved. You know, that's a topic what we are doing. And coming back also, and you're right, you mentioned SMEs. And you know, there in manufacturing domain, famous numbers that only 20% of the data are used. So we have a huge opportunity when we are solving this.
Thank you. I propose we move to the next question. Maybe if there's another people afterwards. I see over there, next gentleman in white shirt afterwards. Yeah, Herbert, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Herbert Zeisel, I'm a retired person, so I'm just responsible by myself. So, listening to your talk here on the stage, I have the feeling that one of the major problems is, of course, data and the secure data and save the IP of the companies. And I've talked to some pharmaceutical companies last weeks, and they told me very clearly, we'll never give you my data. That's not because just of the data, it's because also that you train your solvers with my data. And this training gives an advantage to probably my competitors. How you solve that?
Mateusz?
Maybe I will not find a solution. It's a very, very important question. I strongly believe it's not only pharma companies, but also SMEs, larger corporate manufacturing will be extremely difficult to, convince them to share any data with competence centers like this one. And it's just a question also what's the role of the AI factories? Is it about providing infrastructure, or do they have to either data gatherers and model builders, or more supporters in doing innovation? So maybe in some use cases that are totally profit driven, it simply won't happen. But having situations and use cases like hospitals, public sectors, I don't know, civil defense, all these strategic aspects of running the European community, it might work, right? So, but probably it's also a separate work package working on that. But I don't see how you could force a company or provide incentives to share. Maybe some of the data that is for common good. But this IP data, it normally stays within the company, and it will be protected. It will be under the gate, behind the gate, and I don't know. It's Also, you have all these regulations, GDPR. This is the issue. Not only in Europe, but if you go to the talk with the Asian, US companies, they also protect their IP, because that's the only, maybe not the only, but very important, unique selling point. So I don't know whether it even makes sense to spend time and try to work on this kind of use cases, but concentrate on something that can be easily achievable. Maybe you don't agree.
If I can comment, I mean, I completely agree that the data management and data security issues are really important, and they will have to be addressed by each AI factory, maybe in slightly different manner. But you put the pharma example, and maybe they have enough money to invest to build their own AI factory, but on the opposite side, there are many spin-off startups asking for such capabilities and are waiting for additional support. So maybe we will not fit with this model to all the industry requirements, but maybe at least I can speak for our AI factory. There are really many potential communities asking for services that we are planning to offer.
Dennis, and then...
Yeah. So my turn. No, I could see that there are still some cases where we will never be able to share some data. But if you're looking at LMMs, for example, they don't need to share the raw data with us. So they can also do already the data pre-processing on their side and just share the embeddings with us. And the embeddings are just some numbers. And as long as we don't have the mapping function from the raw data to the embeddings, it should be secure.
So I think that you're totally right. I mean, SMEs or companies want to train using their own data. We have to make compatible the use of private data with also public data. We have already a lot of petitions of companies coming to us, asking also to make compatible their private data with public data to reinforce all the process of training. So there is a strong need also to accessing public data. So we have to make this compatible, and we have to create a system where there is security and privacy, but also a level of openness in terms of using public data.
I think I mentioned also before the importance in data, which you also highlighted. Maybe we have to think also, and I mentioned also the cloud edge continuum where the data are stored. Maybe, you know, the automotive network regarding Catena, you know, they have established a mechanism also in tier N to tier 1, also tier N to tier N-1 exchanging data and so on. Maybe we have to think about other models, how to, also not only the technology stack, cloud edge, what I mentioned before, but also from the perspective topic. Next issue which you're addressing regarding when you're training a model, then the one or other have an advantage for this. Yes, I think there will be a filter from business in doing this. I'm working also in some kind of standardization bodies where a lot of competitors are sitting on the board, I can tell you, but we have a joint vision what we want to do and have all a benefit out of this. And maybe this is in the model which we have to address.
Thank you. I think there was a gentleman in a white shirt for the next question. Don't on this side, if anyone. Up on the top afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Hartwig Ganz. I'm chair of computational mathematics at TU Munich in Germany. And I'm more on the numerical model side, less on the data-driven model side. But let's pretend for a moment that I'm someone else. I have a startup in the chemistry area. I'm in a country where there's no AI factory. Is there a process how I can get support? Like, is there a central place where I can submit a ticket, say like, hey, I have my startup here in a country, we don't have an AI factory, I would like to benefit from the AI factories. Is there a central process where this ticket then gets assigned to a center that has the expertise in this field using AI for chemistry, and then I get, for example, like half a year support? Like I have a consultant at that center that gives me support for half a year, how I can use AI in my chemistry startup. Does such a process already exist, or do we have to establish something like that?
Maybe I take the answer to that question. The whole basic model of the AI factories, as has been so far also with the HPC supercomputers and also with the quantum computers, is the infrastructure we're setting in place, the service ecosystem we're putting in place is a shared infrastructure between the European Union and the member states that are the local hosts. So if, for example, you have the chance of sitting in Poland, you have an AI factory in Poland, so you can make use of the Polish access time or services. But if you're in a country that doesn't have a local antenna, you can access directly to the European share of the infrastructure, as you're also doing now with the HPC supercomputers. So that's the whole idea of the network of the AI factories that will bring us a shared infrastructure, so that you have a central entry point, which would be anyway the EuroHPC joint undertaking, and they would assign your ticket, as you call it, to the AI factory that is specialized in your area of application.
Thank you very much. I think from the legal point of view, that was already clear to me. The question is rather like, do I send an email to Anders Jensen, or what do I do?
Yeah, no, that's the whole idea of the one-stop shop that we have explicitly anchored in the regulatory framework, that whoever you are, whatever your needs are, you have a single entry point where you come, submit your request, and the joint undertaking, in this case, will then attribute your request to the place where they're specialized on your type of question. If it's, just for the sake of argument, you would like to do AI models on cybersecurity, you might go to Luxembourg. If it's for life science, it might be Barcelona, so that they send you to the right place and you don't have to go shopping around trying to understand who is the best place to serve you.
Thank you very much. I think it would be very good to advertise this process, because I think not everybody in Europe does know about that process and that web page and so on and so on.
Very good. I hope that colleagues from the JU in the room, they will take note of your comment. We had a question over there on the left side, please.
Yes, also a comment. My name is Stefan Vogt. I'm chairman of the Open Search Foundation. That's an NGO that inspires Europe to build its own web data infrastructure for search, analytics, and AI. And actually, having heard these problematic aspects of getting private or proprietary data into the AI factories, maybe we can think of using the biggest and most public web source of data to be taken onto the AI factories, which is the web itself. And maybe we can bring a horizontal web data layer, a data lake of web data onto the AI factories, and then structure it also into more thematic layers and parts or corpora for training AI models and for search. So, and those could be structured according to languages and also to thematic domains. Maybe we can discuss this during these days. We are also here with the Open Web Search.eu consortium that is piloting such activities already. And I encourage us to think down those lines and maybe do that as a joint effort, which is easier than proprietary data to be used across all the AI factories. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone like to reply to the gentleman? No? Sorry, then I have the JU downstairs.
So we wanted to respond to Harding's question before about how to access if there is an email. Indeed, there will be an email. There is a portal being prepared on our website with all information how to gain access. As Gustav mentioned, from 1st of April, we're going to open our current systems through specific AI calls. So there will be a portal. Also, our peer review portal page will be customized with specific sections for these calls. And there will be emails to get support, even a help desk available for all these kind of questions, which systems you can access, how, what is the process, what are the services offered, which then will be forwarded to the AI factories themselves in order to be taken care of.
Thank you, Vangelis. We have time for a last question over there in the middle.
Hello, Ulbats, IMEC. We've been talking about AI as one big pool of things, and semantically, many times I heard LLMs, which is but one subsection, built by a number of mainly US companies that sit on huge sources of data themselves, where they now want to redefine copyright law, why AI factories is a European ecosystem approach. Right? And we heard, I think, the value of that ecosystem will be in leveraging new types of techniques. We heard the question about pharma. In Europe, we have patented amalgamated machine learning techniques that solve that issue. And I was going to ask the question, I think the true leverage of the AI factories will be if as Europe we invest in those type of privacy-preserving, federated, amalgamated machine learning techniques. Right? Then we can satisfy our ecosystem of smaller partners to build bigger models that are leverageable across Europe, but not in this US way of putting all the data together, which will never work in industry, in pharma, in health anyway. And I think there we can make a difference. I also don't see any US competition there. They also don't have a solution yet, so we're definitely not running behind.
Thank you. Anyone in the panel would like to react on the comment made by the gentleman?
Yeah, maybe this fits to my comment in the beginning that we don't want to have these AI factories as isolated silos, where we want to go for this federation. And what you are mentioning is something where we can go in the direction of geographically distributed training, so that we connect several AI factories, and each AI factory can basically also then train on specific data only available at that AI factory. And through this kind of geo-distributed training, we can then also address training much larger language models or some other AI techniques which come up in the next years as well.
I can just maybe add a comment. My understanding is that each AI factory, again, may concentrate also on a different type of AI workloads. So we may have AI factories really concentrating in all LLM models and supporting different end-user communities, but we may also end up with AI factories supporting like a multimedia or computer vision type of workloads. So I would expect not necessarily, exactly the same services offered by each AI factory, rather the collection or federation of different capabilities offered around the Europe.
Thank you. Now, before we close, I would like to ask a last question to each of the panelists. In 1 or 2 sentences, if you have one free wish, what would you ask the public authorities to get the AI factories up and running, or get the impact that we're looking for?
In my case, I would ask for the continuous support of many activities that we have already started, because again, it's a process. If we are just at the beginning of this process, if we stop this process, then we will not end up with a successful end story.
Yeah, from my point of view, we need to have a common vision for the next 5 to 10 years, how to establish this whole ecosystem in Europe.
I agree. So for me, it will be to have a clear strategy for the next 5 and 10 years and continue supporting the initiative.
From industry, maybe to have an efficient and effective access from the technology layer, but also, you mentioned before, also maybe not to fill up several hundred pages to get access.
I would agree. So open access to businesses, profit companies, to that, and long-lasting support, because we cannot just be now in April, but for a long time and quickly, because we run businesses, so we should also have possibility to run quickly. That's, and as you said, need for speed.
Well, now I have to confess to the audience, we did not share that question before, but they have now pointed very directly towards the upcoming communication of the European Commission on the AI continent that will then lead towards the end of the year to the Apply AI strategy, which is precisely about the long-term strategy on what we want to do in AI in general in the Union, how the AI factories are part of it, and how we make best of use, of course, including the access and maximizing the impact towards the SMEs and the industry. Now, with this, I would like to close the panel by thanking you for being here and listening to us and asking your questions. Also, big thanks to the 5 panelists that shared insights to an adventure that I hope will keep staying with us for the next 5 to 10 years and open doors for more to come. Thank you.